Another comp live stream on this one. Name of the game is just catch catfish. Now you can actually use any gear you want. You want to use a bottom rod, float rod. You can only use keep nets, no stringers. Rod stand, of course, is prohibited. So you can use one rod. A lot of people are probably crankbaiting for these or lure fishing. Maybe a little bit of a mix, but I'm just going to show you how I do it. The rewards are decent. Some of that stuff, again, you can just pick up doing missions. However, the one keynote is the X Series Larva. Would be a good one to pick up. Again, top three, and again, look through all these and see if it's something that you want to participate in. Set up your templates if you have to and practice for it. In other words, the only way you're going to get that X Series Larva is in one of these comps. So again, look at your rewards and see if it's worth your time or not. And basically, also, let me see. All fish count, but everybody's going to be going for the blue cat and the obviously the unique flathead. So choice is yours. I brought a bottom rod and a float rod as well, but I doubt I'll be using those much. But I'm gonna probably start with the Star Spangled Banner and go from there. So here we go. We did end up taking 22nd on the slow run in the Big Brother, but definitely an improve on that one. Man, my load times in these things have been slow. Alright, this is the catfish trial here on Quanchkin Lake. You got 45 minutes to catch as many as you can. And I've, again, seen my luck in this thing vary. Kind of all depends on what the computer is going to throw at you. I've caught as little as one unique and as many as 4 flathead in this, believe it or not. And sometimes it can be extremely cold. So you never know what to expect in this one. I want to say again, this is probably my 5th time actually in this one. I've gained a little knowledge, but just generally speaking, most people are going to be using crankbaits. If you don't have this one, try the glow crank. As you can see in my farming video at Quanchkin, that's what I was using. But again, you're going to be looking for flathead in the blue. If you can go on a run, you can get up some pretty good points. So nice trophy right out of the gate. Again, how you guys want to use your lures up to you. I actually like the reel and float. If they don't hit that, I might go to a straight or something. And again, if you watch my farm in the Quanchkin, I kind of show you how I'm explaining that in a little better detail. Again, I'm putting these up and talking at the same time, so it is a little distracting for me. But again, I hadn't put this one up on the channel, so I figured I'd put it up on here for you guys and kind of see how this goes. If you guys want to adjust and use bottom rods, but you can only use one of them or float rod, they do count. One of my other buddies had said when he does float rods or bottom rods, he ends up getting a lot of the, that was a small unique as well, he ends up getting a lot of the channel cat, so they don't pay as well points per pound because they're smaller. So that's kind of up to you what you guys want to try. Again, with this lure, I'm trying to determine if they're at the bottom 1/3. And again, if you're wanting to do the same thing and you don't like doing the auto set feature where you got your rod tip up, you can simply just roll and float like a stop and go, like that. That'll pick them up too. One thing that I think of just like fishing in real life is, trout and other fish might hit they might hit a lure falling. With crankbaits in particular, I like using those to where they'll actually float up. In other words, the floating action I think is what entices the bite on crankbaits. Now you can just crank them in and still get a bite, but I just seem to have, you can see I just got back-to-back unis, one from the left, one from the right. What I was going to say is I think it's the falling action like on a spinner or a jig or something like that. You know, even in this game they kind of got that right, the mechanics of it. In other words, if the lure is falling. Now, since this thing's floating, the ideal action is going to be they're going to want to hit that when it's floating or when you're just cranking it. So if you're working the mid water column, I'm just trying to just make that float, and you don't have to hold your rod up. You've seen that last unique. It was the same concept. I just reel and let it float, and that's how that other unique just hit that. So you can do it like this, and I'm not saying you can't just reel them in and get a bite like this as well, but just generally speaking, I kind of get bored. Now you can crank this in and just go like this as well, and sometimes you'll get them, but for me, I like this the reel and float, and I kind of do the same thing for sharks if you guys watch any of my trophy shark videos. And again, I've started out hot on this before. You can go and fish on that other side as well, but the majority of the time you're going to want to spend over here. And another crankbait I like here is the slimy crank, 12-foot 6.0, as well as the 30-foot 6.0 glow crank, and it still works in the day too. But again, to keep up with these guys, you kind of have a steady bite. I've had this, like I said, this is I think the fifth one I've played in this thing, so I'm experienced enough in it, but I also know you can get slow, hot, or anything in between, or you can be slow this entire thing. So from here, you know, if you get slow, if you want to do bait, it's up to you. But I know the guys, the heavy hitters in this, are going to score well with, and again, since I've caught two uniques here, I might come over here and try to fish this from this angle, see if I can pick up a blue cat, because there's blue cat in here as well. As long as you try to keep catching steady. But if you guys have ever entered this and tried just doing bait, that's what these guys are doing. They're going to be using crankbaits, or maybe even my friends on my friends list was just telling me earlier, you know, that you want to pair a glow shad with maybe a buzz bait, black one I was thinking he liked, but I would assume if the acid shad with the glow crawl would even work. But again, you got to do those things at your own risk. Now, obviously, if you're too far up off the bottom of the water column over in these areas, there's bass here too, so you kind of want to try to isolate those things out. In other words, I wouldn't recommend putting a shallow crankbait in over here. You want to kind of be near the bottom and let it float up. And that's kind of just in general. That's kind of how I used to farm here. As you can see, you might pick up a bass every once in a while still off this bait, but this is actually just how I farmed Quanchkin back in the day. I'd just sit over here and catch trophy gar over to the right here, and then just pound this thing for blue cats and flathead right here in this very spot. Now again, if I could cast over to that side, I could get them, but I got to be careful. There's gar, and you don't want to hook up on a big gar on the Zeus. I will pull them in on this thing, and I actually used to farm with the Zeus, again with the trophy gar, but for this tournament's sake, I don't want to, you know, wrap up and have a wrong miss. If I miss, I want it to be on a bass or something small. You can get in fairly quick. But again, if one lure is hot like this one is, I'll stick with it for a while. But I do like the glow crank 30-foot 6-0 as well. Again, I'm just staying towards that bottom, reeling and floating. It looks like I got a bass. Nice bass too, isn't it? No, I thought it was bigger than that. And I'm on a pretty good pace, but I'm going to try to show you guys another spot that you might not be aware of. Again, I'm not really playing to win this, so to speak. God, is this the spot? Yeah. I'm going to do a couple casts up here and show you guys another spot. I don't get the uniques out of this as often, but there, believe it or not, there's catfish right here. I use this on the where is this spot? Yeah, there's catfish back here too, guys. I've caught the unique in here before as well. This spot here is not for everybody though. You will get a lot of bass. I'm just going to show you briefly and then probably rotate back. But you can come in here and pick up, if you need some points in this thing. There's catfish over here as well. I use this on the catfish tournament. This is actually where I qualified to get in the semifinals and then finally made it to the finals in the Catfish World Cup. So I did pick up some points over here as well. But this spot's kind of hit and miss, and this is a tough spot to, but I'll do probably one more cast. If it's not active, I'm going to go back over. But just for the sake of the tutorial, even though I'm in first, I'm wasting some time over here probably. But if you get in a spot, where you need a few catfish or your spot's slow. Again, I've also had luck casting like right there. Again, this spot's tough to pick up, but this is a tough spot to work. You can kind of keep that on the bottom as well. Oh, you're fine if you were messaging me, bro. I got my notifications off. Anymore when I've been streaming, I have to keep my notifications off because I got too many people messaging me. So, and if I've ignored you, my apologies. I've been doing comps all day, trying to crank a bunch of good knowledge out for you guys. But yeah, this spot here, like I said, it didn't do very well. But now, if you rotate over at the right time, there is catfish here. I showed the mark previously, but I kind of got to start casting or I'm going to fall too far behind. Again, you kind of just rotate these three spots if you guys watch this video back. Again, the odds that these guys are putting up the major points with just one bottom rod or one float rod is probably not the case. They're cranking, man. They're either cranking or using. Yeah, I'll jump in with a party with you in a little bit, and then I'm gonna play with some of my other friends. I'll try to help you out the best I can here in a little bit, Death. But most of those, just to answer shortly, most of your SE gear, the only thing different about it is it's got a skin on it, man. Most of the time, a lot of my friends, if it's got a good skin on it, I'll show you how. Always get like this. This is the same rod as the rod that I'm using right now. I've kept this one just because it's got oh my God, because it's got a good skin to it. But it's basically just the same Zeus. It's just, got a skin on it. So if you've got a rod and reel that you're considering selling, if it doesn't have a skin on it, and you can get the same thing in the shop, other than it just saying SE on it, I don't know why I would keep it. I don't. Any of the packs that I bought, like the Congo pack and the Amazon pack, even my Tropicana, it's nothing different about it. It's the same weight and rod size and that sort of thing. So I just dumped them for the bait coins, man. But that's kind of entirely up to you. Yeah, man, if you need the bait coins, I definitely would dump it. Like I said, that's pretty self-explanatory on that stuff. Like if you have Again, the only like even these, I can't remember which one on the Congo pack. I came in, I bought these, and I started thinking, all it says is SE, dude. There's nothing on it, so I would dump it for the bait coins. Now this here is cool. I picked this up in a pack. It's basically just a deluxe Troy, but I like it. You know, it's got a cool skin, other than not that the generic red one or whatever, but yeah, I like this rod. And then see, here's just a generic one, but this is the deluxe version, so that would be the difference on that. But yeah, I'd see no benefit of just keeping an SE. If it just says SE and it's like the same rod here from the Congo and it just says SE on it, BFD, why the hell would you keep it? Yeah, dump it for them bait coins, get you some storage space, and as well as marker buoys, man. But yeah, like this, I got this a long time ago for $5. This is it's basically just it's still a Rivertech Zeus. It's just got a skin on it. So, a lot of times you'll see me in videos with this. This is probably one of my favorite rods. But yeah, so anyway, that should help you guys out. All right, now let's see if man, I started out so hot too. Let's see what happens. I've been talking a lot, but let's see. Oh no, I casted that way too far. If you cast that far on here, guys, do not risk your lure on a. And by the way, I am running fluoro. I think I just picked up a freaking bass too. That was a horrible cast. No, you will pick up bass on these things occasionally, depending on where you guys cast. If you guys need the markers, I can give them to you. But basically, you can just go to the spawn point and cast on both sides of these trees, guys. It's nothing, nothing out of the ordinary. And then, again, it does kind of depend. I used to have a stand. Oh yeah, I got a stand marker there. I kind of try to line myself up right in here and it's cast in this spot. If that does help you guys, there's kind of a fine little line to cast to get these things. And I said I've came in here before and gosh, what did I scored a bunch in this once and still got knocked down to fourth or fifth. But this is definitely another comp if you enjoy lure fishing. Not saying you won't come in here and get dead legged. I think I've said that several times, but it's happened to me once. I came in here and casted I don't know how many times, and I know how to catch. I know how to fish with a crankbait, and I just whatever the computer is going to deal you up, it's going to deal you up. Oh, I missed something there. That might have been bass. No attraction bubbles? I'm lost, bro. What do you mean? There's one. Be a trophy or better, please. Need some points, man. Yeah. I use my crankbait a lot different. In real life, I don't know if you watched my Quanskin video on this. Like, I like to reel and float mine, man. Um, I'm basically just using the auto set feature, holding my rod tip up, and I kind of like how I fish for them in real life. The way I look at crankbaits in real life when I'm fishing for bass is, uh, I'm probably in the midwater column, but since I'm going for catfish, I let it bounce off the bottom and just then float up. The catfish are going to be down here for the most part, like that. Now, that time I just kind of did a stop and float, so to speak. A lot of people just like throwing these out here and just cranking them in. Not saying that won't work, but in the past I used to just come in here and slay this shit, and that's how I farm. So basically, I'm just feeling like I'm farming this right now. This is how I would farm here to make money. That and on gar, so you can just sit here and get filthy rich off these things. Believe it or not, I used to do it all the time. At least at that level. It's nothing like going to the Congo, when you're pulling out $70,000 for one Nile perch or 50,000 for a tigerfish, but for the lower level guys, this is a good way to farm. Again, I'm using the you know what's funny though is I've noticed after I can grind the heck. I grinded the Congo so much that I have fun going back and putting a video clip and stuff together for you guys or little guides. But I overfished that thing and I quit playing the game probably for 5 or 6 months just because I kind of reached the plateau, so to speak. And in other words, be careful on the Congo. The Congo will burn you out. But if you match your gear up appropriately and come back to these smaller lakes, you'll find that it's fun. But like I said, my friends always joke with my friends that I kind of use the Congo and Amazon. Especially the Congo. The Congo is basically my ATM, man. But I pretty much broke that place. 220 million or whatever I got now. I still go back and fish for fun every once in a while in the comps and stuff. But I've had more fun coming back to these smaller maps. I actually never realized how much I like St. Croix. If you go match up your gear accordingly, like put on a like a 26-pound Loki and go fight. It's not for everybody, but you go and fight the muskie and the pike there on a smaller gear. God, it's fun. But that's what kind of happened to me is I got all that Congo gear and I backtracked through a few of the lakes. And next thing I know, I'm at a Nile chaser fishing for muskie. And I'm like, what am I doing? This is so boring. But yeah, man, I wish that would have been a uni. But yeah, we're pounding some catfish. But basically, guys, this is Catfish Trials. Anybody that's bouncing in and out, I'm just putting up these guides on my channel just to kind of help you guys out. Now, if you don't have the star spin, like you guys know me, I don't work for Fishing Planet, but as far as for a $5 pack, you can get in the shop, you'll get 2 of these Star Spangled Banner crankbaits. They work amazing for catfish, bass. You get the Liberty medium spoon, you get the Eagle spoon, the Patriot Walker. Shoot, what am I forgetting? I'm sure Josh is yelling something. Oh, the Glory Grub. The Stars and Stripes shad, the Golden Tune spinner. As far as a little pack, if you wanted, these are some of the best lures in the game. Again, if you guys watch my Quanchkin farming video, this usually gets slow. My other one, the 30-foot glow crank is probably one of my favorite lures in the game as well, and that's what I got equipped on my other rod. But as far as these guys are farming this place with the guys that are up at the top here, like this Ace guy. These guys are going to be using probably this crankbait more than likely. In other words, they're not sitting there slaying these things. Now you could put up a score like that if you had 4 bottom rods out, but if you put 1 bottom rod out and you're not doing well, again, you guys are trying to, I would say, use these crankbaits. Now, if you like my buddy Josh had said, he's had some success using the buzzbaits paired with a shad. I think he said a black buzzbait 5.0 with the shad. Just kind of keep it towards the bottom so you're not picking up bass. But that's another way if you don't like the crankbaits. But I did explain in great detail how I kind of use these crankbaits on my video. So take a look at that sometime and just kind of experiment on your own. Again, you can, if you don't like holding that rod tip up, you can just reel and float. Even though this is a 30-footer. It just kind of depends on what's hot. I usually bring both of these. The Star Spangled seemed to be hot this one, but I've went on a tear with this thing before too. So that's probably a bass, maybe, or a small cat. But yeah, this one works as well. The gar absolutely annihilate this thing. Alex is having a hell of a run. He's got 3 uniques. Again, you guys kind of see how I work that. You can, if it gets slow when you're kind of having your rod tip up, just reel and float basically is what you're doing. But focus on this lower section, even though it's a 30-foot crankbait. Yeah, I've went on this one. If I went on a real tear and I wasn't streaming and talking a bunch, I could probably get in the top 3 in this, but it just depends on your luck, man. Again, let's see, that'll work both ways. You can just reel and float, keep the thing down at the bottom, and you guys should do all right in this one. Now, again, I am running a fluoro leader over the top of this. Now, don't throw where gar are. I made a joke in that video that I made. I actually lost this thing 2 or 3 times here, on the gar, forgetting to put my titanium leader back over there when I switch over and go for gar. So now I don't know if that really helps bite rate or not. So basically I got 46 pound braid on this, and I put a 53 pound fluoro leader over the top of it. And I've told you guys wrong in the past. This is actually the Empress reel. I like it a little better than the Kraken. People will either put the Kraken or the Spod, Griffin Spod 9000. I actually like the Empress on this, especially for crankbaits. And again, I'm just trying to keep this on the bottom. Let it float up. Sometimes they'll be in this range right here too. You just kind of got to have control. And then sometimes you can just go dead. Now, you can just sit here and reel it like this, but to me, if you just, you can still get bites, but that and it's just boring. I'm just sitting here reeling. So, you know, all up to you guys on what you want to do. I did bring some other rods, but I'm not gonna. And on these things too, you guys will know in particular. What's weird is some of these hard hitters, you know, there's a lot of good players on here, but it's like some of them will play possum. In other words, they'll wait and see what the scores are looking like, and they'll enter this thing. It's a 45-minute event here, or comp, so they might wait and join it at, you know, with like 2 hour allotment. They might join it, you know, 15 minutes after I've just finished up. So you can leave these things, think you've got a good score. The hard hitters have waited and kind of laughed, and you know they'll just come in and so in other words, since there's on all these comps, you'll look at this and you'll see what the oh, hey Dan, what's up, buddy? You'll see that these comps, some of these guys kind of play possum. In other words, don't get discouraged if you've had a good score and you get knocked out later. You'll come into these things and some of these guys won't enter them. So there's an hour and a half left before this thing, just so you guys know how this works. It's a 45-minute detailed, you know, 45-minute duration, but that don't mean these guys can't join with 50 minutes left to go with 5 minutes to pause or whatever. So in other words, these scores can be skewed. So always come back when you play in one of these, kind of get an idea where they finished, where you score, set up your templates, and kind of go from there. But if you guys practice some of this stuff, I guarantee sometimes people just start accusing people of cheating or something like that. It's not that. It's just they're more experienced. Now, Super Dave put up a video on, there's a guy, I want to say his name was TS Predator. There's a guy that probably has a duplicate account that is really skilled at these things, and he's created another account, and he goes in and he plays against amateurs. We don't know what the main account is, but now that's cheating. But a guy that can just come in here and slay, like, you know, the Deli and those guys, my hat's off to them. It's just they're more experienced. So you guys to ever bridge that skill-based or the experience the gap, you just got to go in and practice with your friends. Pick ones that you like, though. If you don't like Spin the Trout, like I don't like that one, I probably won't play in it. If you don't like the rewards, play in the ones you guys like. You know, play in the ones that are fun. You'll find out quick which ones are popular. There's another one I'll tell you. I'll end up putting it on my channel. Another one I hate is Huge Eyed at the Tuba. That one's a hard tournament to even have fun in. But I'm gonna post it up just to see if maybe somebody can figure it out. Another one is Bobber Burbot at the Salange. Do not recommend that one as well. I'm still trying to figure that out. Me and my buddy D's Universe was going to go in and try to collaborate on that one and go in and practice together and see if we can get it maybe with another buddy as well. But we cannot get that one figured out as well. So, but I'm hoping we can collaborate on that one and put something up. That one's a weird one. You're fishing for burbot at Salange with a bobber. So I'd still like to figure it out because I think that I go in there, in other words, there's a team, I can't remember, I want to say it's that Jack Sparrow guy that's one of the FWA guys. He goes in there, him and his, there's 2 or 3 of them, they go in there and they pretty much, their score is 3 and 4 times what everybody else's is. It's just insane. But you're fishing for burbot with a bobber. You can fish from your boat, but you know the current's so strong, and a lot of those spots you're fishing for them are, other than a few spots, are deep. It's a, and I can't remember what the rewards were. I thought there's a couple decent rewards as well. So it's just one of those. If in other words, don't waste your time practicing and entering comps if you don't even like the rewards, guys. I can't stress that enough. Again, I've been grinding these things since February, and I did good. And only reward I really got at the World Bass thing I just qualified for. I took 7th in the semifinals. Finally got me some X Series bass worms. Other than that, I've won carp leader, so I've got 1 second place for all my efforts right now. But I'm getting better and trying to pass this along. And what I hope to see is somebody on my friends list come in and message me back and say, hey man, I finally got me some X Series gear. So again, that's kind of what we're all going for. Oh, that one missed. And also I've been talking and rambling here, but this thing can get really slow. If it does this to you, again, just rotate back. If I don't get a bite here, I'll go up to that other spot to show you. Sometimes it's weird. You got to let this thing sit and you'll heat back up. Again, believe it or not, I started in this thing once. I want to say I went trophy, uni, 3 unis from right over here, and then went dead the entire rest of it. Didn't matter how I cast. It didn't matter if I had a straight retrieve, stop and go, bottom of the water column, reel and float. It didn't matter what I did. But that thing happens, it just happens. There's nothing really you can do to fix that. So, and there might be a crankbait. I was trying to help a buddy out that's playing in this with me right now, Billy. A generic lure that will work here as well should be that's the 23-foot 4.0. Even though it's a 4.0, it'll still pick them up. And the slimy crank 12-foot 6. If any of you guys got that around the Halloween, one of those jack-o'-lanterns or whatever, that the 12-foot 6.0. In fact, let me try it. And sometimes just changing off this might help you, but let me see, did I bring it? Yeah, I got it. Now, it's not as deadly as the Star Spangled, but that Star Spangled is just a beast, and so is the 30-foot 6.0 glow crank. But this one sometimes can be really steady as well. And also, sometimes you guys will notice, rotating these 2 spots, that basically it's like a timer shuts off. And I don't know if you guys experience this. It's almost like a timer shuts off. So, you might have to let it rest and go try that other dock spot. And I'll go back up there in a second and see if I can get anything to. But you can see you barely fall off pace, and some of these guys will just shred it. Yeah. Basically, right now, I'm just getting, you can actually, don't recommend doing it like this, but I get them like this too. Obviously, you're going to get stuck in the weeds, so not ideal way to do it, but I have came over here before in this thing and finally got them to hit this way. Yep, like that. Now don't cast the right of that tree with anything good if you don't have a titanium leader on, because you'll pick up gar right over there to the right. Is this yeah, it's gotta be a cat, right? Is that a nice one? Oh, just a 30-pounder. Okay, again, as you guys can see, you can cast that way. Another way would be, like I said, I gotta see if I can find this again. I'm already off pace with them, so I don't really mind showing you guys again. Yeah, this spot. Just look for the tree going out to the left. Now you can cast down this dock over here is a flathead spot. It's tough to go with that crankbait though, because it's a tiny little spot. Now this spot here too, I was really wanting to catch one over here for you guys just to show you, but again, this spot's not really hot. As you can see, I used it in the catfish thing. But there, I've got uniques over here before. This spot is so difficult to do with a crankbait. So again, this might be one of those spots you try with a buzz bait or something different, swim bait, something like that. You might be able to pick up one. Now there's an extreme lot of bass over here too, so this one I kind of work a little different. I try to keep as close to the bottom, and sometimes they won't even bite it until they get up close to the dock. If you notice, I'm not even letting it float up because it seemed like practicing this before and doing this over here, they won't. You let it float up too much, bass just, and that's really tough to keep where you need it. But again, that's something when you guys are just playing around practicing for this, when you guys set up your comps, come over here and give this spot a try. You can get them. Now the other thing you can do, again, so I caught those unis fairly quick. I don't even think there's a respawn timer or anything on this. That's going by, I think, Super Dave's, one of his guides a long time ago that I watched. He knows a lot of the respawns and stuff. In other words, I don't think there's any respawn timer, so you can basically sit here. I bet there's times guys can come in here and get 6 unique flathead from around here. Now, if this gets really slow, just you can cast straight out here and just go for some blue cat, a cast or 2 as well. Let that spot sit and then come back over. You can fall behind in these things and go on a tear too. And as pre-mentioned, yeah, I'm getting to, it's all right. I start out hot. You guys all know what this is like. You can sometimes you can just look. I swear, if you could sit through it, start on my. I did the meaty fellas. I want to say last week, sometime Thursday or Friday. I started out really well on that, and then fast forward to like the last 5 minutes or so, or 10 minutes. I literally put on a 5-0 hooked, changed spots where there's going to be sharp tooth or voodoo or anything. And you know how Congo is. Good luck not catching a catfish, right? And that was by definition. I've been dead lake, but not like that. And I had a really good start too. That one did frustrate me. I'm not going to lie. But as long as preferably don't happen to anybody. I kind of rather just you have steady fishing and then by definition to me, R&G should have nothing to do with your bite rate. I don't mind when I get beat. Like, let's say I'm getting a 55-pound unique and they're getting 70-pound uniques. I get that, but, for the average guy that comes on here and plays this, they're not going to want to just get dead laked on some of this stuff. But again, you got the peaks to figure in. And who knows, this is a great game, so I'm not going to sit and knock it. But, they could just have little glitches in their system. In other words, another theory I had is, let's say you go in and when you get dead laked in something, let's say that, you guys, like, let's say this is this peak now. Now, you guys have probably experienced this at Weeping Willow. Let's say you go in here, you're fishing on this peak, day 1 where the hump is, and let's say for whatever reason the thing glitches out. And I know this has probably happened to you guys before. You go in and hit pause, and you're like, I wasn't fishing on that peak. But let's assume everybody's fishing on that hot peak, but somehow your game only glitches out, and you're fishing right here where it's dead at 5 a.m., where it's not hot. That's another theory that I had, but who knows? Who knows? But it's odd. It's just like a switch just shuts off and you don't catch anything. So, but that's just another theory I had. But nonetheless, this is again a decent foundation for kind of what you need to do on this one. Again, switch your lures around, switch your spots around, and if you get dead laked at a certain point, just keep casting, man. That's all I can say. And other guys, if you're really savvy at this stuff, maybe you're throwing a float right now. If you're dead with your lure, maybe my better option would have been, this happens to you, you start out hot like I did. Now, granted, I'm talking and pausing and doing other stuff, but let's say you're on full-on beast mode and it gets slow like this, maybe you throw on a float, man. Maybe you do. Maybe you put a bottom rod out in this spot and just try to pick you up some points instead of casting a crankbait that's not working. I don't know. But one of these days, if I keep trying, you guys keep trying, I'm sure you can get some of this gear unlocked and hopefully, but just in general, the only real thing I'll say, not negative towards Fishing Planet, is just they have to, at some point, they're gonna have to do something different with their the comps in general. They need to, give the top 10 X series. You know, I could care less about the bait coins, man. I just want some X series gear, and I'm sure all you guys are, you know, painfully watch some of my stinkers I put up on these comps trying to help you guys out. It's rough, and then, when you have a really good run, and then whatever you get, but these guys that, just in general, I think you guys would agree, if you come in and spend your time and you've practiced and you did a little bit of stuff, and and you always, if you, like for me, I keep getting like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, which is decent, but I would still like at some point a score to hold up. So, but hopefully in due time. But yeah, I wish they would change that. Top 10, if anything, give them top 10 some gear. That or cap the guys at top. No offense to Deli, he's a heck of a fisherman, but how many X series shads does one guy need? I'm just using him for example. I love Bam. Bam Bam Slams is on my friends list too. He's a hell of a fisherman, but some of those things, it's like, I mean, how many of one thing does one person need? So I mean, kick some of that down to maybe 4th, 5th, and 6th place. If the guy's got 60 X series shad, I don't know if he needs another 20, does he? I mean, the odds that somebody that's as good as Bam needs 300 X series shad's pretty slim. But that's kind of, and again, that's not on the player, that's on the game itself. So hopefully they make it some minor changes. I think they'd have a lot more participation in these things. And we finally got a bite. Again, Billy, if you're watching this at some point, again, this 30-foot 6.0 is 50 bait coins. I wouldn't say get it right now, but yeah, this thing usually can, you can get the uniques off this as well. It looks like we might start getting a bite rate again. We'll see. But I've seen this happen. If you guys watched my shark thing I just did, I got my, it was about it got really slow, and then I picked up towards the end. So, but I know one of these times I'm going to come in here, and the start that I had, I'm going to be able to keep that pace all the way through, and that's just kind of all it's going to take. Again, the cool thing is, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you could just win one time and get, the X series shad, I think you probably get 10 of them. You're going to guard those things, right? You're not going to do something stupid. And even if you do, you got 10 of them, man. Like, I'm so happy, and not to brag, but I did work hard for it. I did get those X series shad from the World Bass thing, and man, or not the shad, the bass worm 6-inch, and yeah, I'll be really careful with those things. Yeah, it's just slow. I think everybody kind of slowed down though. Yeah, nobody's really catching anything. All right, now just for the sake of the video, okay, kind of in this situation, can a guy? Why do I got that on there? Let me just see. I probably don't need that. I'm just gonna put a smaller hook on, and just. I've never really tried it this way. That would probably pick up. Oh yeah, you guys know I always give a bunch of tips out. Where is that? See what I caught that on? Let's see if we can get a bite here. I'm just trying this just for you guys at this point. I'm far enough behind. I know I'm not going to catch anything, so let's try 4 foot. I'm just going to try this just for you, just to test it out for you guys again. A couple of minutes here and just see. In other words, these are minor little adjustments, but like I said, the odds are they're all cranking, and they just get hotter, cold, just kind of like I did. But this is another thing, if you guys watch my meaty fellas again, I know I keep bringing this up. I literally dropped down to a shiner at one point, and they don't even count. I was at a spot that's pretty much the hottest YouTube spot for catfish at the Congo, and my lake was just completely dead. 5.0 shiner. I tried every bait that I could, even like I started out with Captain 12s and was tearing it up, and then my lake just, it's like the switch just shut off, and I'm basically was just fishing in a lake with no fish, is what it felt like. I probably picked up a bass, didn't I? Channel cat. Yeah, see, you get a little points out of that, but it's you're not going to be nothing. See, that's what my friend Josh was predicting. He was saying if you switch and use floats, because he was giving me a little bit of heads up on this, or if you fish and use bait, I'll try over here just to see. He was proving that exact point. Was he's saying when every time he tried using bait here, he would get a bunch of the trophy channel cat, and those, points wise, ain't going to give you crap. But let me try one more right here and just see if, just for the sake of the, like I said, I'm putting these up just kind of test stuff out and kind of give you guys a general rule of thumb what you can follow and do. Adjust. Sometimes I might make a big mistake, and just keep that note in your head and do an adjustment from there. But yeah, I think if you guys went through with stayed with those two crankbaits, maybe I'd one of your own, try another lure out, maybe you like another lure that works really well for you. But just now, if you come over here with like a 5 or 6 foot crankbait, you're gonna get tore up by the bass both spots. So uh, I would probably wouldn't go any shallower than 8 foot crankbait, 12 ideally. But again, you guys do kind of how you want. But as you can see, I could have probably set that bobber a little deeper in that spot. All right. I'm gonna try one more thing for you guys. Let's say I went here. Let's see, I still got a 4-0 on, right? This is also a popular bait here. I brought this to just to see. Now let's try and see if, just to kind of compare the bite rate if you guys had to make the adjustment where your lure fishing went dead. Let's just see if switching to this tactic would help you get points at the end. Again, my heart of hearts is saying your best routine would be just to keep cranking, man. Keep casting, keep running those cranks. I haven't tried. I sit and think about it. Those, not the duo swim baits, but the swim baits from the Amazon, not the Amazon, the swim baits from the that you would use at Maroon. Those might be all right here. I should test those out. Those are really good for the gilded and the trophy, the gilded and the red tail catfish at the Maroon. So maybe, yeah, this is looking like to me is just, I don't think your bite rate's even gonna be good enough to run. Not to mention, Josh is probably right. My friend said that you're probably gonna get a ton of channel cat, and they're just not gonna pay. I'll give this another 30 seconds and see if we get a bite. Now, just by the hook size, that should be a great hook size for these flathead out there. Four to 7 hours probably, but again, I think the bite would probably be too slow to justify it. Yeah, I'm gonna try to pick up one more. But nonetheless, I don't know how we're gonna finish. Again, some of these hard hitters could come in here and get 7,000 pounds, but I want to say I was in the 5,000 range before, and got that dreaded 4th or 5th place. But and just for the sake of the video, let's see here at the last 2 minutes. Pull out another trophy or uni, get a little bit of points. Again, kind of you look everybody there on that top 5, everybody's caught a unique. So and that qualifier that I fished in for the World Cat Cup, I noticed here, I ended up getting, I want to say I had 11 uniques in that thing in a 2-hour period. And I barely qualified in 20th, but I had 11 uniques in this thing. But you got to use bottom rods, and that one was a lot of fun. Yeah, we're just going to go slow here at the end. Those catfish are right in that area too, right here. Alrighty guys, this concludes the tutorial for the catfish trial here on Fishing Planet. I hope some of this knowledge helped you. If it does, please leave a like. Also, nothing here. I probably will just put the, we did get, I want to say 3 uniques, or at least 2, didn't we? A bunch of trophies. I probably will, this one probably won't be the most exciting one, but just to give you guys a base on this one, since I have did this one yet, I will probably stream this one at 7 just to have it on the channel. One of these two I'm going to play with my friends off stream. I've already posted these, so you guys, anyway, thank you for tuning in, and until I see you next time, good luck everybody.